Welcome to Stetson Law Live, an online, interactive, informational event for prospective students of Stetson University College of Law. On today's program, Laura Zuppo, Charles Rose, and Erika McKardle. Our topic today, the LL.M. in advocacy. And now your host, Laura Zuppo.
Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're very excited to have all of you out there watching our webinar. This is a live webinar and we are so happy to take your questions. So as we move through the program today, if you think of something you want to know more about, whether it's the admissions process, your financial aid, the technology, we're going to cover all of that today. So my name is Laura Zuppo and I'm the Assistant Dean of Enrollment Management here at Stetson. And I have the privilege of helping to co-host this webinar with my colleagues, Professor Charles Rose and Professor Erika McKardle. Professor Rose, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Professor Rose. I'm the Director of the Center for Excellence in Advocacy here at Stetson University College of Law. I've been at Stetson now for about 13 or 14 years. I run the center. I have a chair as the Professor of Excellence in Trial Advocacy. I teach evidence, criminal procedure, depositions practice, little trial ad. And for the last couple of years, I've also been running the trial teams here at the law school.
Excellent. The award-winning trial teams, right?
They do all right.
They do pretty well.
They do all right.
And Erika?
Hi, I'm Professor Erika McKardle. I actually have been at Stetson now back from practice for 5 years, which is absolutely incredible. I'm so happy to be back and be here. I have the distinct pleasure of working directly for Professor Rose in the Center for Excellence in Advocacy. I teach trial ad here, and I also have the absolute pleasure of coaching our award-winning #1 national championship trial team.
So thank you. So we're very excited to have you guys today to talk about the LL.M. So Professor Rose, why don't you tell us a little bit about the LL.M. program and why you started this important program and maybe who it serves?
Well, what happened was we were looking at the need for students who are graduating from law school who haven't had skills training, and for lawyers in the practice who've developed a series of questions and a need for techniques that they don't have. And so I built it around the idea of if I could take a class, if I could go back in time, knowing what I know now and identify those areas that it would have been wonderful to develop myself in. I wanted the LL.M. to be something that at the end of the day I would go, doggone it, I wish I could do that. And what that did was create a program that was also tailored to folks who were practicing law, who were busy, who were involved, so that they can do it while still having a life. It's worked very well. It fills a gap and it completes the education. It's almost like a capstone of a persuasive advocacy that sits on top of the law that you learn before you get to law school.
Interesting. And what are the type of students that tend to be attracted to this program? Are there any particular types of students, Professor McKardle?
The really cool thing about the LL.M. is that we get such a wide variety of people that want to do it. The two biggest pools are, the first are for the law students that have actually just graduated law school, and maybe they didn't go to a law school that was as advocacy focused or heavy on practice and practicum, so they come to Stetson and they want that wonderful experience of being able to be a great cross-examiner or motions practice. The other big, huge applicant that we get are people that have been out for 20, 30 years. I mean, we've had practitioners that are anything from JAG officers, huge, big trial lawyers, plaintiff lawyers, medical malpractice lawyers, prosecutors, DOJ lawyers, everyone. So it's a great pool.
It sounds like it.
And then we also see mid-level folks
Okay.
who are looking to get themselves to the next level career-wise. And we've had graduates recently who have gone from being an assistant state attorney to landing that job at the large firm or the medium-sized firm because the LL.M. gave them a way to establish a credential that got them in the door.
Excellent.
And that's been very helpful for some of our graduates.
So it sounds like the graduates really span the length of their career and can really take it in directions that just fit their needs and their goals. So do they have do you have, in terms of the program itself, it's obviously an online program, and you mentioned that because people do continue to work and practice. So why don't you talk a little bit about the online structure and how that might differ from someone's experience in a more traditional JD course?
Well, I can give you an example. I teach, for example, the first 6 hours of the 24 credits. You'll spend all that time with me, and we'll become really good digital friends, for want of a better word. We develop community asynchronously externally, and we develop community and a sense of belonging to what it means to be a Stetson advocate and to be in the program through the rubric of personal storytelling at the very beginning of the course. We share techniques and personal stories in a way that connects us as human beings, which is a big chunk of the psychology, the rhetoric that we're teaching through the rubric of the trial skills. So you might be sitting in your living room watching it on your iPhone, but you're actually in a virtual space with all of us. And we developed the technology about 5 years ago to do this. We never did it before because the classroom experience had to approximate as near as possible as if we're all sitting in the courtroom together. And since I can't reach out and touch you physically, I have to touch you with words, with emotion, with structure, with video that, for want of a better word, feels like you're watching a TV show in many aspects, except you're one of the characters in the TV show. So what we get is this wonderful dynamic of community that is created over the course of the LL.M. And then by the time they come to Stetson to visit at the end of their first year, they know each other even though they've never met each other. And that creates some really interesting opportunities from a learning perspective.
Well, and Stetson's pretty well known for its warm community and accessible faculty.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's possible even through distance education. I mean, do you get to know your students?
We do, and by get to know, we have parties. We get together for the Educating Advocates Conference each year where we spend time together as colleagues, because when we invest in someone from an LL.M. perspective, we teach you for 2 years, but you're a member of the Stetson family for life. And we have this connection that we think is an intrinsic part of what it means to be a Stetson lawyer. It's part of why we're so good at advocacy. It's why we're so persuasive, because we understand that human element and we see where it fits within the law. And we build the structure of our course, the structure of our relationships long term around those ideas. And it's the same thing that we do with our trial teams. It's the same thing that we do in our JD program, but we've brought it to the next level. There are a lot of folks out there who have the capacity to be a Stetson lawyer. They have the desire to persuade at a level, to move someone else's life, to make a difference, and they don't yet completely have the skill set. Mm-hmm. And what we want to give them is the skill set so that they understand not only what they should do, but why they should do it. And what we've seen, I think, is transformation. We've seen transformation in people who did not think that they could do what they then subsequently do. It's an incredible growth opportunity. And the coolest thing from my perspective is that the growth opportunity is not just the student coming right out of law school. It's not just the mid-career person. It's the lawyer who's 60 or 65 years old, who takes the LL.M. and learns as much from the people who are in the class with them as they learn from me, and they learn from each other. So they create this community. And if you're a young lawyer starting out and you get an opportunity to be in a class with an icon of the bar for 2 years, you now have a friend and a mentor that you could not pay enough money to have. Well, and they invest in you personally.
Well, and that's actually good, because we actually have a question, and it ties in so perfectly to this, because thank you, West Palm lawyer, for kicking us off with your question. Do we have a track for the person who is a practitioner who would like to become an advocacy professor? Do you see that a lot with the folks in this program?
Absolutely. Yeah. We see a lot of it.
Yeah, we do. Particularly if I'll give you an example from the first year of the program ever. There's a guy named Roger Dodd. You may have heard of Roger. He teaches cross-examination. He does advocacy clinics across the nation. Roger enrolled in our program because he wanted to learn the structure of how to teach other advocates. And one of the things that we do, we offer specific courses in it. In fact, I'll be teaching one this summer called Teaching Advocacy, where we go through the pedagogy and the structure of how you create advocacy courses, how you create CLE programs, how you create skills classes for law schools. We've had graduates of our program who have gone on to teach at other places. It's not the only thing we teach, but there's a piece of it. And if you'll stop and think about it for a moment, anyone who's been a trial lawyer, anyone who's been a lawyer realizes that at a certain level, lawyers are teachers. We are teaching other human beings about a series of facts and pieces of the law. And if you understand how teaching works, you become a more effective attorney. And so that's baked into the course. I would say probably 8 to maybe 12 hours, depending upon what electives you take, can be directly related to this process. The other thing that you'll get, let's say you think you want to be an advocacy professor, either as an adjunct or maybe even as a career long term. It's not just trial advocacy. We have damages courses that we offer. We have complex counseling.
Voir dire.
Voir dire. So we develop your skill set beyond what you have from practice. And that allows you to then package that and present it in a way that can be very effective. The other thing that we do is we require attendance every year at Educating Advocates Teaching Skills. It's a conference that Stetson puts on for the advocacy teaching community. And we have law professors, we have practitioners, they come from all over the United States and internationally. And we gather together for 3 days at Stetson where we talk about best practices, drills, skill sets, challenges, opportunities. And what that community does is they develop connections with each other. From those connections flow job opportunities,
Right.
And flow work opportunities. It's a very interesting thing to see happen. In fact, I was with one of those people just this last weekend, and they were asking me for a recommendation of someone to come be a fellow at their law school. They're establishing a fellowship program where they're going to bring folks in to teach, and they want our graduates. And that's very interesting.
That's
great.
impressive.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the structure of the program. I call this my rapid fire session, where I'm going to ask you a lot of quick questions, or I guess short questions that probably have short answers. So how does the program work? How many classes does someone take per semester?
It's built for 6 credits, right?
Yep.
We'll allow you to take 4 or 2 if your workload is really heavy that semester.
Okay.
But if you don't have at least 5, you don't qualify for financial aid. So financial aid is a consideration.
That's right.
You need 5 credits.
Okay, good. And then what's the total investment over the length of the program, and how long does it take?
Well, it takes about 2 years to complete. We do allow people to go in the summer if we want to take some of those courses, but we recommend to get everything out of it that you possibly can. Along with the big working life of a practicing trial lawyer, we say a span of over 2 years, or 2 years.
Okay. And in terms of the core curriculum and electives, do you have a particular number of core, and then do you have tracks for the electives, and do you guys help advise folks on what electives to take?
Well, I think one of the things that you want to consider here is that we built the LL.M for a personalized experience, which means that if you have questions, if you're looking at your development, you talk to Ms. McKardle, you talk to me, and we work through
Right.
what your goals are coming in the door, what it is that you want to accomplish. We built the LL.M so that the first 12 credits, as you're acclimatizing yourself to online education and to being back in school while working, are taught as required credits. The first credit is advanced advocacy. We spend a semester together, and in that semester, we learn rhetoric, storytelling, psychology of persuasion, use of personality profiling, and a little bit of neurolinguistic programming. Wow. And then we take those and we apply them to a trial situation. The idea is to expose the student to those thought processes they haven't seen before. And then the second semester is heavy law, advanced motions practice, advanced evidence, advanced discovery.
Yep.
And that gives you a grounding in all the fundamentals, thinking about it at a level that you haven't seen before. And then we start the electives.
Which is a great thing to do, because a lot of the time you want to have your foundation, right, really strong before you start any of those big elective courses. So the great thing about having the advanced advocacy as a whole is to get all that foundational groundwork set on a great platform to learn how to storytell and the art of communication from so many different ways, so you can put it in oral and written practice.
And the other thing that does is you know, if you guys are out there and you're thinking about doing this, I'm sure that you're looking at other LL.M programs. I would.
Yep.
Heck, I looked at them before we built this one. Some of the others are nothing more than an advanced trial advocacy class,
Right.
where you're doing what we teach at the basic level at Stetson University College of Law. We wanted to build a program that was challenging but doable. It's something that when you have done it, you are proud of having accomplished the degree.
Right.
And that creates an educational experience that we actually believe is unique right now in legal education.
Absolutely.
And that actually goes to our next question. We have someone out there from teacher to lawyer. I really like that. So, and you guys, thank you so much for joining in and typing the questions. I'm going to take a quick pause. We are answering your questions live, so if you just came in, please type them, and we'll make sure we answer them. So from teacher to lawyer wants to know, is this a certification? Is this a degree? And actually, I had a question. Someone logged in when they registered and wanted to know, can they get any CLE credit for this program? So how does this LL.M differ from a certification program, and can you get CLE?
This is an advanced legal degree.
Yes.
You are getting an LL.M in law, in advocacy from the premier advocacy law school in the nation. So it's above and beyond the JD degree. As to the CLE credit, when you come to the Educating Advocates Teaching Advocacy Skills Conference in May, you're going to get about, it usually averages 23 to 30 CLE hours for that visit, and we don't charge attendance for our LL.M students to each conference. They don't pay a fee, they pay their travel, but they don't pay anything to attend it. And that takes care of CLE, usually for the 2 years that they're involved in the program.
And it transfers from state to state, obviously, too. It's like, you know, if you're everywhere from New York to California, those CLEs translate.
Yeah, and now you said New York to California. That is literally the spread of students that we have had. We've had California lawyers, New York lawyers, Texas, New York State, not New York City, the Midwest, the Southeast.
Everywhere.
The cool thing about the asynchronous online nature of it is that we get together virtually. It doesn't matter where you're from. So you get a really cool cross-section of folks.
And we have a great question about the time investment. So obviously, the folks participating in this program are working, and the work-life school balance is important. And I know that, because I've been working with you guys for a long time, that we've had students who've needed to take leaves of absence, et cetera. So let's talk a little bit about the time investment and sort of what happens if you have one of those really bad weeks where you need to take a break. So let's talk about that.
Well, I mean, the law school has an attendance policy for online classes, and we follow the attendance policy. But we have the ability to request exceptions based upon the life of the trial lawyer, and that's for this LL.M program in particular. What it requires is communication between you and me and Ms. McKardle. When we know there's an issue, when we know that you're in trial, we have methods to take care of it. It is, quite frankly, why I teach the first semester by myself. Because I know that you don't know what you don't know yet. Lou Holtz used to call it unconscious incompetence. We just don't know until we experience it what's actually happening. So you may bite off more than you can chew and not know it. My thought process is, once we accept you as a potential Stetson student, we'll get you through the gate. We will find the way to make the program work for you, because that's a commitment. It's a promise that we make. We see the ability in you. We want to be associated with you, and we're going to find a way to make it work as long as you communicate with us. I've lost maybe one student every year or so, and it's always due to some sort of personal tragedy. It's not due to an inability to manage the work life, the combination of the two, because we're cognizant of it, and we've set it up to make that happen. And quite frankly, I occasionally fight with the administration to protect my LL.M students, to make certain that they get the the return on the investment that they've made.
Because Professor Rose and I absolutely understand where everybody would be coming from. I mean, I was a trial lawyer before I came back. I did private criminal defense, so I understand how it feels that if you have a defendant that you're going to invoke speedy and you're going to go to trial and you might have an assignment due the next week. I understand. Professor Rose was a trial lawyer for over 20 years in the JAG Corps. We understand how it feels to be busy and to practice. So the biggest thing is just communication. You let us know. We absolutely can help you out with it.
I mean, the thing that you've got to, you either believe us when we tell you that we're investing in you personally as a member of our community, or you don't. I think folks who know us know that that's actually the truth. It's
Absolutely.
actually the secret sauce of what makes us so effective as teachers and as lawyers, is that we understand that that human connection exists far beyond anything else. And so we're committed to that. What that generates is a welcoming environment that also has standards. So we'll get you there, and there's no problem that we can't overcome if you communicate with us. Now, if you go into a hole and I don't hear from you for 2 months,
Right.
then we might have an issue. But otherwise, you'll be fine.
So we have a couple of questions that I'd like to take, and then we actually have a short video of Professor Rose teaching, and we thought that would be a lot of fun for you to watch. So let's take
That's
these
awesome.
couple of quick questions. The first one is about, are classes live or do we watch recordings? Sorry if this was already covered. So do you want to just brief us on that again?
There are two types of online classes. There are asynchronous and synchronous. When it's synchronous, you're required to have the class and everybody's in it at the same time, and you take roll through a computer program. An asynchronous course means that I come to this green screen studio you're in right now. You can't see it. The walls are green. There's foam everywhere. It looks like we're sitting outside in a beautiful office, but let me tell you, the only thing attractive here are the people.
It's true, though.
But because it's asynchronous, we can have students from all over the United States. The way that we create the classroom interaction is through discussion boards, through specific assignments, and we have an asynchronous platform that we use that allows us to record video for each other, to talk to each other, and then to comment back and forth to each other. So you can do it on your schedule. You don't have to carve out a specific time where everybody meets. You do need to carve out a specific time for you, where you take care of your classwork, but you do it at your pace each week, and that allows you to be more flexible. We couldn't do this if we all had to meet at the same time,
right.
because I've got a student right now from Nigeria.
Yep.
And he would have a real hard time being in class when everybody
Right.
in the United States was in class.
That's right, exactly.
So we have another question, and this one I think is really interesting, could open up additional topic. We'll take that one and then we'll take our break. And I'm going to actually ask Ms. McKardle, Professor McKardle, to take this. So you have to earn your JD, obviously, before you pursue this LLM.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
what alternative might one have if they are an actual current law student at Stetson and had an interest in pursuing the LLM?
Well, the great thing about Stetson is we have so many different avenues that you can get degrees for advocacy. We have the 2-year LLM, which we're talking about specifically now, but the really awesome thing is, again, the brainchild of Professor Rose, which is called the JD LLM. So what happens is that if you are a Stetson student and you want to commit to a statement of interest saying that you're going to take trial advocacy tethered with evidence and pretrial practice, you actually can earn your JD and your LLM together, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's a really great program. And so, Stan, why don't we go ahead and take that break for now, and we'll come back and talk about the admissions process and financial aid.
Good day. I'm Professor Charlie Rose, and wherever you are, I greet you digitally. Today we're talking about Bloom's taxonomy, another in our series of presentations in our teaching advocacy course, where we're looking at how educational psychology and the core components of what is taught to teachers might be effective for us as advocacy trainers in law firms, law schools, and CLE presentations. Today, I'm going to cover Bloom's taxonomy itself. So I'll give you a definition of it, give you some background on it. I'll explain how it works, and then we're going to connect it to educational psychology and then see if we can posit how what we've studied before can better inform what we're doing when we're doing CLE training or when we're teaching other lawyers, when we're engaged in this business of passing on knowledge in both a physical and a mental perspective.
Welcome back. So I'm sure it was fun for you all to see Professor Rose in action. We have a lot of really great material on our YouTube channel, on our Advocacy Resource Center webpage, and pretty much all over our website. So if you'd like to see some more sort of live shots of our fabulous faculty and our accomplished students, it might be another great way for you to research Stetson. So I think this is a really good opportunity for us to talk about the admissions process and how do you get into this program. So let's first start with Professor McKardle. We're going to talk a little bit about how to apply and what are the components of the application.
Sure. So when you apply for your LLM in advocacy, it's different than like applying to law school. We actually have different documents. We are going to require you to fill out our application extensively, which you can do either on LSAC or you can do on our website and our webpage online. We're also going to require you to have 2 letters of recommendation, a resume, a personal statement, and transcripts, your official ones from undergrad and for law school.
And one of the things that we frequently have folks ask us about is what you're looking for in that personal statement,
Sure.
how long it should be, and should they address any particular topics?
They can. I mean, I think the biggest thing that myself and Professor Rose and all of us look for is we want the best of everyone. We want to know why you are so passionate about wanting to do this LLM. We look for everything from personal stories to overcoming amazing obstacles to great trial stories to passion and fighting in a courtroom. It's really the overall person that we're looking for and why they really want to do this. Some other things you could address as well, there are some addendums you can put if, you know, for example, you had a personal tragedy in your life and you need to explain to us why certain things happened on your grades, or if you took a lull in your employment, anything like that that you want to tell us, we would love to hear about it and we consider that as well.
You know, the thing that I would say to that is that it's not only, this is not just for the traditional student. And I'll give you a classic example of one of our recent graduates. She got in trouble as a teenager and wound up with a felony conviction for drugs.
Wow. It happened.
And she spent about 7 years in prison.
Wow.
She then goes to law school at a very lowly ranked law school because they would accept her as a convicted felon. She's working as a public defender. She applies to our law school. She's afraid that because of her history, we would just turn her down outright. But actually, I read the personal statement. I see what she's been through. I see the passion that she has for wanting to be as good as she can be as representing others. And we took her on because we saw her value outside of the norm. There is no cookie cutter.
No.
There is no set number. There is no particular experience quotient that you have to have. We're looking for the person who's committed to this and who wants to have that development.
Absolutely.
And we have a question about the law school GPA, and is that a major factor in the decision, as well as the work experience? What kind of work experience are you looking at?
The best trial lawyers that I know of often have the worst grades in law school.
I've heard that, all right.
It's so true.
And there's something that I want to share about the way we grade.
Okay,
the way
good.
we grade. Because this is a competency-based program. It's pass, honors, high honors. But we're not grading you based upon a mathematical formula for a recitation of black letter law. We're teaching you skills, and then you perform the skills. And the level of the competency that you reach is where your grades fall. This means for the student who might have had problems in the numerical grade category, who did fine but nothing special, they're actually finally going to be in an environment where the thing that they do best is rewarded.
They can thrive.
They thrive, and
So-
we see that across the board.
So we're not really looking at that LSAT anymore, are we?
I could care less.
No, absolutely not.
I think there are a lot of happy people out there.
Absolutely
No
not.
LSAT, don't have to worry
Careless.
about the GRE, no worries.
No.
Absolutely not.
You graduated from law school, you're a member in good standing in the bar, we can work with you.
All right, I like that. So just to kind of summarize, we fill out an application.
Yep.
We turn in our resume, our personal statement, our undergraduate and law school transcripts, and I would assume graduate school transcripts if we had an MBA.
If you have some,
if you
yes.
have an MBA.
If you have an MBA.
No application fee.
Correct.
Okay, and all of that can be sent directly to Stetson. You can either upload it and email it, or you could apply via LSAC if you happen to be applying to a lot of different LL.M programs and have a CAS account, an
Yes.
LL.M CAS. Okay, so what happens? So we put all this together and we send it forward to a faculty committee. And the faculty review you, make a decision on the file. And then what? I mean, you know, they start classes in the fall. Can they start in the summer? I think we mentioned that, but why don't we talk a little bit more about sort of once you're admitted, then what?
Well, let's begin with the person who takes care of the first point of contact, which is Ms. McKardle.
Yes, so as soon as you are admitted, what you'll get is this wonderful, which I love to do because I do all the congratulatory emails, so it's really special to me. And then what you'll get is a whole list of stuff. You'll get the letter from me with your acceptance letter in it, your seat deposit that you'd have to pay in 2 weeks. Then what you will do as soon as your seat deposit is confirmed, then I will work with the lovely people in IT, in financial aid, and the library to make sure that all of you are really set up in a very good way and integrated in our community very quickly.
It sounds like there's a lot of that personal touch
Well,
with the group.
Well, and that person's touch goes beyond what Professor McKardle, Ms. McKardle, I still call her Erika.
Which is
does,
fine, which is
fine.
totally fine.
Which is totally fine.
I just love saying Professor McKardle, so I gotta say it.
Well, I mean,
Either way,
she's a Stetson trial lawyer. She's a member of the Stetson trial team.
I am.
And she has done things at an earlier age than most lawyers do because of the work that she does and the education that she has, because of who she is. In fact, we leave tomorrow for a national trial competition up in Cleveland. So she's a good person to have in your corner. Once she started with that process, then we start connecting academically. The very first thing that I do is that we have a virtual get-together using a platform. Usually we use GoToMeeting, sometimes
So
we
cool.
use Google Talk.
So cool.
Where we'll all be together. I'll be in the courtroom with Professor McKardle, with Julie Kitzmiller, our technology person, and everybody will be on the screen from all over the United States. We'll see each other, we'll talk, I'll lay out what's going to happen, we'll go through the syllabus for the first class, we'll see who has issues or concerns, and it's an opportunity for us, to break bread together digitally. And that happens before classes even start.
I think that's important. It helps
It is.
everyone sort of get rid of the jitters of going back to school. So speaking of jitters, one of the things that we all worry about, of course, is cost. So Professor Rose, do you want to talk a little bit about the structure? We had a question a little bit earlier about scholarship or grant money, and is any of that available?
We are looking at potentially creating public service scholarships in the future. But when I stood this program up, I went and looked at what other people charged. And I told the dean of the law school, because I see a need to serve those who actually represent the underrepresented. I said, we're going to set our price point lower than the market would allow. We are going to affirmatively decide to charge less initially, to give that opportunity to public defenders, to prosecutors, to legal aid attorneys to do this program. And that's been very successful.
We have a lot of them.
We have a lot of them because they see the need. That means that my credit cost right now is lower than any other LL.M at the law school, and it compares favorably to every other program in the nation. That being said, we want to do more. So one of the things that we're looking at in the future are scholarship dollars for certain categories. They don't exist right now because of the price point, because I wanted to make the door open to everybody. But we are looking at them in the future.
And I think that's important. One of the things that I'd like to cover, because one of my hats here at the College of Law is financial aid. So I'm going to take a couple of minutes and just tell you about some of the other ways you can afford this education. First is self-pay. I know that's hard for some folks, but we're going to talk about it. Some folks happen to have either a firm or personal savings and would like to pay by payment plan or credit card, which of course we will do. Our business office is really, really great about working with students who want to set up a payment plan. They have some forms for you to complete, very flexible and easy to work with. Additionally, we're very proud that we have a lot of our veterans coming back and pursuing this degree, and we're very comfortable working with veterans who have benefits, whether it's Voc Rehab, whether you're Chapter 33 and you have in your yellow ribbon eligible. We are a 100% yellow ribbon school, and what that means is any eligible student will get the yellow ribbon scholarship, and so that would be your Chapter 33 benefit plus a $5,000 commitment from us and a matching up to $5,000 from the VA to cover your tuition and fees, which is fantastic.
And we not only have veterans, we have active duty soldiers.
Active duty soldiers, right?
Yes, we do.
And for those of you who are eligible dependents, we're comfortable working with you as well. And then finally, we have our federal student loan program. So our advocacy students are eligible so long as they take a certain number of credit hours, and that's 5, as Professor Rose mentioned earlier in the program. So long as you enroll in 5 credit hours in any fall or spring, and I believe it's 3 credit hours in the summertime if you choose to take summer courses,
that's right,
you are eligible for living expense and tuition and fee money. Many of our advocacy LL.M students only borrow to cover tuition and fees, which makes sense since you're working. But if for some reason you had to secure childcare and you wanted to borrow for that, that would be perfectly fine. And then I think the final thing in terms of financial aid is for those of you who are out there and are in the public service arena, remember that these loan dollars that you might secure for this LL.M, if you continue to work in public service, these could be folded into the public service loan forgiveness program that still does exist with no cap as things stand right now. And that is something I would certainly be happy to talk with anyone about offline. But the public service loan forgiveness is a great way to go for the person in public sector who is concerned about it, but really wants or needs this advanced skill training.
Right.
Sound good? I cover all of that?
Yep. Well, I think we have seen the folks in the public service sector become the trainers in their offices once they've engaged in this LL.M.
They become the felony division chiefs. They become, second in command at their state attorney's offices. It's the next step in an advanced level for them to get up.
And the thing that it does for civil attorneys we haven't mentioned before is that in many states you have a certification process and they control how you can identify your abilities and your excellence.
Right.
I've got folks in major civil attorneys doing the LL.M and the JD/LL.M program because they want the credential to separate themselves in the business community to show that they have an accomplishment that the folks that they're competing with for work don't have.
Right. Speaking of work, we have another question, and this is about career services or job placement. Let's talk a little bit about some of the other student services. So whether it's academic success or we already talked about my financial aid office, but career and help with sort of the extra and co-curricular side of things.
So the really great thing about Stetson too is that we have so many hats, all of us. Professor Rose and I also do help a lot of our LL.M grads get their resumes out to different people. We have a huge network of different trial lawyer organizations that we know, like AAJ or TILA, the Jerry Spence Trial College.
And ACDL.
NACDL, all of that stuff. We are very well connected in the community, and we know all the law firms, and we know different branches of different law firms as well.
And we're also connected to the teaching community.
Yep.
So when there are openings for advocacy-driven professors, we often get inquiries potentially about our graduates, and our graduates have had some success in getting jobs.
Yep.
And have been finalists in many of the interview processes over the last 2 years.
So if someone is thinking about making that transition from practice to teaching, before they start this LL.M, would you want to sit down with them and really talk about their long-term goals? Or for that matter, for anyone who's doing this LL.M, I mean, are you able to help them with that kind of counseling and advice?
A core component of what we do in the LL.M is a mentoring. At a certain level, you have to mentor to teach an advanced degree and give it added value. An advanced degree that's just driven by classroom work, why bother? I mean, you can get that same information from a CLE. But an advanced degree that also connects you to the community, that gives you the inside understanding of what works and what doesn't work, that helps you manage the expectations in the process. Now that's valuable because that's going back to community, and that's really part of what we do, because I can't provide you with the LL.M. experience if we're not engaged in that discussion. Because I choose additional electives, I pick new professors, we develop new courses based upon the demands and the needs of our students. The electives are driven by what the students want to do. And we are mentoring and talking all the time. And that creates some really interesting synergies. So you get mentored probably more than you want to be.
Absolutely. We actually have another great question, and then I do want to talk a little bit about the faculty in this program. And this question is, for those of you who need it, do we go in depth over evidentiary rules, or do they have to have advanced knowledge prior to starting the program?
Yeah. Number one, I'm laughing at this question because actually evidence is probably my favorite subject ever and my favorite thing to teach, and Professor Rose does such an incredible job of teaching the subject. But the answer is absolutely not. You do not need any kind of advanced knowledge in it whatsoever. You will be taught very well in those courses on how to get up to speed to it.
Well, the whole purpose of the second semester, the second semester is designed to fill in your gaps from an evidentiary and a civil procedure perspective. And we developed 3 courses: advanced evidence, motions practice, and advanced discovery, to make certain that there's a baseline.
Right.
And see, because what happens with lawyers is you only remember what you do all the time.
That's right.
And you forget the rest of it.
It's true.
It's true. You know, we're a mile wide. We're a mile wide and an inch deep, except for where we practice. And so we set that baseline. So it really doesn't matter where you are. If you've graduated from law school, you'll be able to pick up with what you're teaching. Now we're going to push you to the next level. You're going to have more knowledge than you had before by the end of the semester. I mean, you'll understand character evidence in a way that you didn't before, and you'll understand the federal rules of civil procedure.
Absolutely.
But it's nothing that's not accomplishable if you've gotten your JD.
Absolutely.
So let's, in the last couple of minutes, why don't we tell everybody a little bit about the other faculty. Obviously, we've met you both, but tell us a little bit about the faculty that you recruit to teach in this program, because they're not just Stetson faculty.
Oh, no, not at all. I have directors and associate deans at other law schools, director of advocacy programs, associate deans at other law schools who teach in this program. Some of those folks also come out and teach with us at Oxford, because we have an Oxford program that we do in the summer for JD students. They also come to the EATS program. I've got folks who are former members of the board of directors of the trial college for Jerry Spence. We choose the best folks possible who have the same value system that we have about the value of the practice of law and the sacredness of the right to trial by jury. Because we believe that those are fundamentals from a democratic society perspective.
Absolutely.
So you'll have Ray Foreman for UMKC. You'll have Professor Chris Bean, Associate Dean out at Southern Illinois University. You'll have Lee Kopic, one of the great civil attorneys in the state of Florida, historically teaching it. You'll have CEOs or chief legal counsel for hospitals teaching you motions practice. We bring in the folks who have the expertise in their specific niche, and they then push you. So what you get is it's not like you're just going to one law school with one flavor. The flavor in our LL.M. is excellence. And where we find excellence, we bring it to the law school. They want to associate with us because of our reputation for advocacy, and our students get the benefit.
Excellent. So we have just a minute or so left here. Everyone who's out there, we will be taking the link for this video or this webinar, and we will put it up on YouTube. And for all of you who've registered, we will send it out to you via email. So I'm sure you're going to want to watch us again and again and again. We're just thrilling, but I'm sure you'll want to watch it again, or feel free to share it with colleagues that may have an interest and couldn't watch. Additionally, I just want to point out a couple of key things. The preferred deadline for applications is July 1. And also, if you would like to reach out to the office, would you like to give them the phone number for the center office? I believe it's 727-562-7800.
Yes.
And the extension
Mine is 5.265, but what I want to give all of you, because in this day and age, you know, technology, and I might not be sitting in the office all the time, but I want to get to anything and everything y'all need. So I'm going to give you my email address, which is the quickest way to always get me. I have it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and Professor Rose will tell you I will answer my phone at 1 in the morning if I had to, because it's that important, and I have for our LL.M students actually before. My email is wilson, the number 1, at law.stetson.edu.
Perfect. And so we are going to send this out to you. I will make sure we include Ms. McKardle's email address. And on behalf of everyone, I'm Professor Rose, Professor McKardle. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Sound good? And
It's
thank you,
awesome.
everyone. And we hope to see your applications for the fall program.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for watching Stetson Law Live. For your convenience, our contact information will remain on screen for the next few minutes. Thanks for watching. We look forward to seeing you soon.